Blessings upon all my Akhis and all my sisters out there. Welcome to Split Decision. Episode 24 is a boxing debate slash talk show. In the red corner, of course, we had 24 episodes, 24 fights, and Akhi still undefeated, pound for pound number one. In the blue corner, the one and only, the man with all the knowledge, a real life professor, no other than.
You know what it is, 3P Professionals, pundit with the PhD in pugilism. I think I need to also get another P. I need to be a psychologist because you're a little delusional over there. You
I don't know,
you looking
man.
like Deontay.
I think that shocked you like Fury, because I'll be telling you what I'm going to say and preach exactly what I do. So with that being said, you already know Split Decision. We had my man David Morrell Jr. yesterday. We interviewed him. Check it out. It was a bonus episode with the Mikey Garcia prediction and coverage. So check it out. Shout out to David Morrell. I appreciate you for popping up on the show. And he a hot Cuban prospect. Check him out. He's 22 years old, having a fight on PBC April 11th. On Fox.
This is only his third professional fight.
And he fighting a guy that's 23 and no. With that being said, he's only 22 years old. So the sky's the limit. With that being said, I appreciate everybody in the chat. I appreciate all my keys, and you already know we're going to represent. Now, every topic is equivalent of a round, and we're going to have callers calling in. Every caller is limited to 2 minutes because of the time limit that we have on the show. With that being said, Mikey Garcia had a tremendous fight last night, a war with Jesse Vargas, where he came out on top. We covered a fight. It was a very intense fight throughout, till Mikey Garcia kind of found his timing and range, and he was just hurting Jesse Vargas almost every time he was landing the right. So, what is your thoughts overall after you kind of rewatched the fight and things that you didn't see live during the coverage?
Yeah, so kudos both to Mikey Garcia and to Jesse Vargas. I saw two men definitely well prepared for one of their biggest challenges so far in their career. With Jesse, I will say that I did expect him to come out fast early. I was actually impressed with how he was mixing up his offense in there. So Mikey usually takes a couple of rounds to kind of figure somebody out, and it actually took him maybe a little bit longer because out of the first 4 rounds, you can easily give Jesse Vargas 3 of the 4. Some people might even say 4 of the 4, but I definitely could easily give him 3 of the first 4 rounds. But after Mikey made those adjustments, and he couldn't really miss with that 1-2. He had great leverage on it. His technique is supreme, and his power. It seemed like on the outside of his power won today, but really his timing, his technique, and his boxing acumen won the day. But that results in him being able to land those power punches. And to me, it seems that his power is translated pretty well at 147. Some of the bigger guys we don't know about, but Jesse Vargas has fought a kind of a who's who when it comes to 147 pounders. And he's been able to make it to the last bell for each of those fights. And I think this is probably the most hurt I've seen Jesse Vargas.
Yeah, he definitely hurt him more than Manny Pacquiao did. When he dropped him, Jesse Vargas was badly hurt, and Mikey went for the KO. And he usually more calculated, but he got hit, and he wasn't responsible defensively like he usually is. I don't know if that's credit to Jesse Vargas because of the great work he was doing, or just the fact that Mikey Garcia, at 147, he's not that sharp defensively. However, he has a great chin. And one thing for sure, he was adjusting throughout the fight until he found his timing. He was cracking Jesse Vargas with that 1-2. And even Jesse Vargas came out saying that he's on the level of Pacquiao as far as how hard he hit, which that's a topic later on. Yeah. But this fight kind of reminded me, though, of the Barrera Morales. Not on that level, but kind of like a poor version of it, which is still great. This fight was back and forth. It was very close early on till Mikey Garcia made the adjustments. I don't know, man. I think this fight watching it live, because we was watching it on a small screen for the viewers that didn't know, and I haven't watched it since then. It was as close, even if maybe it's closer than a Porter versus Errol Spence, but I don't hear nobody saying it's a robbery, So I had Mikey Garcia winning comfortably, but I just want to point out that it was a close fight. Mikey Garcia was getting hit throughout. However, it seemed like every time he was landing the right hand flush, it hurt Jesse Vargas, and it hurt him bad. And that's what kind of separated him between him and Jesse Vargas, because he has the timing. He never was the fastest guy in the world. At the lower weight divisions, he just had great timing, good defense, good offense, and great power. And like you said, moving up in weight, it seemed like he carried the power. However, the best chin in boxing is the one that don't get hit. That's why Errol Spence was looking like Mayweather when he fought Marquez, when Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia, because he didn't get hit as much. Because credit to Errol Spence's defense. It ain't because Mikey couldn't crack, then now automatically he could crack because he comfortable at the weight. I just believe the best chin in boxing is the one that don't get hit, and Tyson Fury proved that last week. With that being said, as far as can you hit the bell so we can move on to the next round?
Yes, sir.
Mikey Garcia, he came out stating that his power. Jesse Vargas came out stating that Mikey Garcia power is on Manny Pacquiao level, because when he hurt him, he really felt it. And he's a warrior. He fought on. And like I told you, Mikey even went for the kill, and he was getting hit with a bunch of left hooks. And if y'all could check out our coverage, and man, like I said, he wasn't responsible defensively, but the power is still there. So what you think about those comments in particular?
Well, I just have to take a man's word for his word. I've never been in the ring with them, and I've never felt that power. So if he thinks that their power is comparable or nearly the same, then I'm a say that Jesse Vargas is probably telling the truth. As far as how his power would do against some of the other fighters, I think that once you get into Errol Spence, we saw that one thing, he wasn't able to land his punches at all. He got clearly dominated. And then even when he did, they didn't seem to bother Errol Spence that much. You said it was a testament to Errol Spence's chin to that point.
Skill, defense.
Oh, yeah. And, but you also said something today, Mir. You was like, and they talk about Errol Spence ain't got no chin. You were kind of like alluding to that point.
Talking about today?
Yeah, today.
Well, I said the best chin is the chin that don't get hit. And Errol Spence does have a good chin, too. But I just want to say that defensively, just like Fury, he fought Wilder. He proved that he had a great chin because he didn't get cracked as much. But when he did get cracked, he actually took it as well. But yeah, you can follow with your point.
Yeah, I'm saying it to say, because he mentioned, he called out Errol Spence, and he also called out Manny Pacquiao. I thought he was capping a bit with the Errol Spence, and my argument was it would be very hard to sell that fight. Particularly is that you can make the case that he lost every round in a fight that he got dominated. He took a lot of punishment. But as a boxer, and even kind of as a selling point, he has to save face in a sense. So he is going to say Errol Spence is sitting right there. Also, I have a friend, Fuji, I want to give a shout out to him. He thinks that everybody thinks that Errol Spence is food now and ready for the picking, so that there might be some legitimacy in that call out. I don't buy it, but that's a theory that's out there.
Well, as far as the Errol Spence fight, that's the next topic, which is Mikey Garcia calling out Pacquiao and Errol Spence. Can you hit the bell, Professor Nim, so we can hop on to the next round? He called both of them out. Of course, Pacquiao fight makes sense if we're going to talk about that first, because that's a 50-50 fight after what I saw last night. Because Mikey, even though he was getting hit a whole bunch against Jesse Vargas, but Jesse is more so in his prime. Manny Pacquiao is a little older. And Mikey, if he's able to study him and do the Marquez on him, he probably could catch him with a right hand later on, and he got a good jab. So stylistically, it's a tricky fight for Manny Pacquiao. However, at the same time, Pacquiao's speed is on a whole different level, and I just don't like how Mikey Garcia have been getting hit lately at the welterweight division. I didn't see him get hit as many times in the lower weight divisions, but that's credit to Jesse Vargas as well. You know, he's a warrior, and he was coming to win. But as far as the Errol Spence fight, it just doesn't make sense, so it won't make dollars because he didn't just beat him, he dominated him. How can you possibly win a fight if you're getting outboxed and then he's literally beating up on you? The only thing that could happen in a rematch is Errol Spence possibly stopping him. So I'm not interested in that. Like you said, it's a way to save face. You have to respect him because he kind of gave the courage for a lot of these welterweights to step in with the truth because he was the most feared and the boogeyman at the time. So after he fought him, it kind of gave courage to these other welterweights to be like, you know what? You know, it's not as bad to fight Errol Spence. And we'll see as far as the numbers, how many tickets they sold in Dallas. We already know Errol Spence was there. So people claim the success of Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia was credit to Mikey. I told y'all it ain't because Errol Spence is the truth and he's the star and the boogeyman at the welterweight division. So Mikey wanted to fight him because he knew he's the cash cow, but nobody capitalized on it because all these top names didn't want to fight him. So we'll see how many tickets they sold because it's two Mexican warriors and they gave it a candidate of fight of the year possibly. So all the right, you know, like all the right
ingredients.
Yeah, it was there to make a great and successful night of boxing, which it did. But we'll see if that's going to translate to ticket sales. So, what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I'll say that there was a lot of different motivations for when Mikey first fought Errol Spence. I wouldn't consider Errol Spence to be the cash cow. I think that if he thought that was so, you probably went at the hardest challenge that you could do to get a paycheck. He could have went at Lomachenko, unless Lomachenko was avoiding him. Yeah, but he could have went at him and took less of a risk for at least the same payday.
And just to inform the public, he did. I don't know if you saw the clips when he was like, he pulled up on Lomachenko and stuff, but Lomachenko had a shoulder surgery, and he said, I don't want to have my comeback fight against Mikey Garcia. I need a tune-up, and he fought Pedraza. So Mikey said, I don't want to wait because it seemed like a Bob Arum tactic, had me wait forever, and I already had this issue before. So he said,
I mean, that's understood. And just to finish my point, I think that if you're just going to cash out, that's probably one of the most dangerous. Yeah, I think he did it partly the challenge itself. Like, people who want to be great, they take on great challenges, and to go after Errol Spence at 147, I think that was him challenging himself to be great. It did come with a nice paycheck. I'll also say that with Manny Pacquiao, I think that they're about the same height, right? So both of them are 5'6", and Mikey, so he did get touched up in his two fights. But you got to think about Errol Spence, who might be the biggest welterweight out there, right? So there are just physical dimensions that are going to allow them to touch Mikey when normally he wouldn't be touched against fighters who are his size are a little bit smaller. And Jesse Vargas is 5'11". You don't realize, so he had a 5-inch reach advantage. I mean, height advantage, and only a 3-inch reach advantage. But like, just those physical dimensions allows them the ability to touch Mikey where he wouldn't. Pacquiao won't have that same advantage, right?
So
Pacquiao's 5'6".
So after seeing the fight last night, how do you see Manny Pacquiao versus Mikey Garcia?
How's it go? I mean, that's hard. I haven't given it a lot of thought, so I'm just
on top of the dome, freestyle on some real rap.
What I'll do is I'll just talk about the attributes that both of them bring to the ring, and then how they fared against other opponents with similar attributes. So with Manny Pacquiao, he's gonna have clear advantages in hand and foot speed. Right, he's gonna be in and out. He might not have the power advantage is gonna be the same. I think just that kind of quick explosive power is gonna go with Manny Pacquiao, but I think that's pretty much a wash in that. But clear advantages when it comes to footwork and footwork, hand speed, and foot speed. Even though footwork is probably close, but with that said, that's gonna allow him to dart in and out and be able to, especially early on, to really tag Mikey. And then so he should really invest in the body and do some other things to really try to take it out of Mikey. Mikey has a clear advantage, in my opinion, when it comes to timing and also when it comes to ring generalship. His footwork is a little more educated and a little more purposeful than Manny Pacquiao, who's just kind of like this, little
he gifted, but
like Tasmanian devil.
He awkward with gift.
Yeah. So with that said, one of the fighters that Pacquiao easily had the most trouble against, and I don't think it was Mayweather. I think it was Marquez. Marquez laid him out, flattened him, even though he's had good success against him. And Marquez relied on timing. If you look at Marquez's stance and you look at Mikey's stance, how they kind of probe with that front left hand, they're very similar. I think Mikey might be a little bit, naturally just a little bit bigger fighter. But I think he sees that and then sees Manny Pacquiao and says, everything that I bring into the ring are those skills that Manny Pacquiao is most vulnerable to.
Yeah, and just my take on that and responding to some of the points you brought up. You brought up the fact that Mikey Garcia moving up in weight, he's more vulnerable because he's fighting bigger guys. So, that's why it's, amazing to see fighters like Mayweather and Pacquiao move up in weight and keep their quickness and their sharpness. Mm-hmm. Like Mayweather moved up 5 weight divisions and he never missed a beat. Same with Pacquiao as well. He moved up 8 divisions and he's as quick on welterweight and he kept his power and speed, which is the key. Now, Mikey Garcia never had the speed. However, his timing's still there. Defensively, he's getting hit more than usual. I don't think it's a height and reach thing because against Robert Easter, he looked great in that fight and he was sharp defensively as well. But I just think the weight, he's a little sluggish at 147 maybe. Or maybe he fighting better competition. But with the Pacquiao fight, for example, Pacquiao, like you said, the guy that gave him the most trouble is Marquez, who slept him, but also Mayweather. Because Mayweather, it took him 30 seconds to land a right hand and counter Pacquiao coming in, which it took Marquez a couple, rounds, and he got dropped in the process in the first fight. So he kind of studied him. So I'm trying to see if Mikey Garcia is as sharp as a counter puncher as Marquez, but can he do it in a quicker, time? Because you're not gonna have a second and a third shot at Pacquiao. And you got to keep in mind, Marquez fought Pacquiao toward his prime too. And Marquez, I believe, possibly was even the older guy. In this situation, Mikey is the younger guy. He the fresher guy. And he hit harder than Marquez, in my opinion. He's not a better combination puncher, but he has great chin. Yeah. He's not getting dropped as many times as Marquez used to. And one thing that people have to keep in mind that Mikey Garcia has great timing as well, that's what gave Marquez the advantage, and that's the IQ, which we were talking about, smart footwork instead of just gifted footwork that's awkward. With that being said, that's a tough fight, and you probably even have to favor Mikey Garcia in a fight like that. But Pacquiao...
You would?
I
don't think...
I don't know. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a 50-50 fight because of his age. Mikey... at that weight, anything can happen, But with that being said, I got great news for you. Can you hit the bell, Professor Nim, so we can move on to the next round? Now, you already know we're going to have y'all call in a little bit. I just forgot to swap my phone, so I'm going to do it after I ask Professor Nim a question or two. But Mikey Garcia came out and called out pound for pound #1, Terrence the Bug Crawford. He said if he can get Errol Spence, if he can get Pacquiao, which he basically said Pacquiao in particular, he wants Terrence the Bug Crawford. Now, what's your take on that fight and your thoughts?
Well, I think there's 2 things to it. So I think one is somebody who is challenging himself and once again striving for greatness. But I also think that it's a bit of a negotiating ploy that he's using. So you have to make sure. So when you're negotiating the contract and you're talking about money, you're talking about venue, you're talking about different gloves that you can wear, all those things. You want to the position of power is those people who have the most leverage in there. So if Pacquiao knows that I'm the only fight that you're waiting on, you don't have all these other options, I have all these other options, I have all the leverage, that's going to give me the power at the negotiating table.
Against Pacquiao or Terrence Crawford, you mean?
No, I'm talking about Pacquiao and Mikey right now at this point. So what I'm saying is that he has to make it seem that, you know what, I have all of these other lucrative alternatives that I can go to, like a Crawford, like a Spence, and then so that way, if that helps give me power at the negotiating table. If I don't like the deal, I can say, oh, I can turn and go here. But if they know that you don't have anywhere else to go, they're gonna they're gonna lowball you in this sense.
Yeah, but the only issue is that you trying to show that you have leverage against Pacquiao, who is a champion that just beat Keith Thurman, and a fight that we all know Mikey wants so bad. He even said, if I can't get the Pacquiao fight. So we all know Manny Pacquiao is negotiating with Crawford, according to Bob Arum. So Pacquiao could be like, man, I could snatch up Crawford from you if I want to.
He could. But
so he could snatch up anybody. Pacquiao, you was not about to have no leverage or say so on him, you know, or play games on him. I just think, you know, like you say, he wants to challenge himself, maybe against the. You know, like I said, Crawford is a guy. He already came out in the past and said that he don't like his style because he move around too much. Even though, ironically, that's what Mikey Garcia did a lot of times in the lower weight divisions. For example, when he fought Salido. So that kind of gave me a sign like, oh man, he don't want any part of Crawford, and who does anyway? Because Crawford, from the rumors and what I heard in the past, he beat Mikey up to 4 times in the amateurs. So. And Crawford improved so much that it's just a bad stylistically fight for Mikey Garcia.
Yeah. And then Crawford, if Crawford got that fight, he would definitely, he does this anyway. His mission would be to stop Mikey, particularly because.
But can he?
Because Spence wasn't able to do it. And Crawford, he goes for the kill. I tell you, I think Crawford is the type of person that if it goes to the final bell, he's upset. He goes.
Yeah, he goes for the kill, but I think he's more calculated than Errol Spence, unless he has his mindset on a KO like he did his last fight versus Mean Machine. That fight, I don't think he would do. I don't think he will fight Mikey Garcia in such a manner because Mikey will still look to box and counter while he's trying to look for the KO. So I think Crawford's just going to look to box. And if he sees that at one point he hurt Mikey, he might go for the kill. But I don't think he's just going to go for the kill from round 1. That would be a silly game plan for him.
Yeah, he doesn't fight like that.
But can you hit the bell, Professor Nim, so we could hop on to the next round? Like I said, we're going to open the phone lines as well. Now, Errol Spence came out responding to Mikey Garcia. And he stated, "There's levels to this. Line them up and, you know, I'll smoke them." He's also responded to the rematch by saying it's an easy bag fight. So, you know, he basically saying, I ain't saying it, but we already know what time it is. So, like we already talked about earlier, that's not a fight we're looking forward to. I'd rather see Errol Spence hop in the ring with a Manny Pacquiao or even a Danny Garcia if it's not a Crawford. But he is back in training camp.
He is back.
Yeah, he's training.
Is there evidence?
Yeah, ES News showed him training, you know, today. Okay. And I don't know, man. Errol Spence, he's not in fighting shape, that's for sure. You know, he looking like he having a good time. He won't fight in May, that's for sure. If he's gonna come back, it's gonna be June because he's still looking like he's a little heavy. Mm-hmm. You know. So with that being said, the shape I seen him in. When he was hitting the pads, he was just, you know, having just a light camp. You know, he haven't started. Oh yeah, he did say he started camp after the Fury fight.
Yeah,
Wilder versus Fury.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but he's kind of like is easing his way in. Like I said, or unless he didn't want to show out in front of camera. But he usually just tap a little bit on the pads. He not trying to show what he has. He not trying to scare Pac-Man. He want to invite Pacquiao in. You know what I'm saying? Come to Smoke City, come to Smoke Box, come to Texas. You already know that's gonna be a huge fight. What's your take on everything that I just stated?
I think part of it, Errol Spence realizes that it's going to be tough to sell a fight with Mikey Garcia because it was easy work. He made it look easy. It looked like a mismatch, and it kind of resulted in a mismatch. So how are you going to resell another mismatch just because a guy was in an accident, which seems like a terrible reason to kind of go for another fight with a person. But I think also when it comes to Manny Pacquiao that unfortunately, he's gonna be on the outside looking in right now. He does, because of the crash and the situation, provide some sense of vulnerability. But if you go and look at episode number 4 or something that on Split Decision, I said from the get-go, I said Manny Pacquiao is gonna fight Mikey Garcia. I thought it was always gonna line up that way. I thought that their profiles were high enough. I looked at their weights, skill level, the following that they both have for each other, and I said that that's the fight that they're going to make. I don't think that even with Errol Spence in his situation that Manny Pacquiao wants to go and fight this big, strong, maybe still recovering welterweight, but I think he looks at Mikey Garcia, says, I can sell that fight. There's some money there. There's some following. And now with a win, a pretty impressive win against Jesse Vargas, I think that's what we're looking at.
I do remember talking about that, and I did say that won't happen because Mikey Garcia at the time was coming off the biggest L of the year to Errol Spence. However, he do have a W now in a great war, in a candidate of fight of the year. But at the same time, it's gonna make Manny Pacquiao look bad if he does choose to go that route, because we all know, Errol Spence singled him out. He was like, man, come here in Texas in front of 47,000 fans. And he was like, I would love to fight you. You're a great fighter. He did it respectfully. And Manny Pacquiao said, we could fight. Well, I don't know what he said, but he basically maneuvered around the question. So my point is, I knew he didn't want it then, but after the Porter fight, where people was like, "Oh man, Errol Spence is not undefeated. I mean, not undefeated, but he's not unbeatable.
Invincible.
Yeah, invincible." And then, of course, the car crash is the question mark. So if you're gonna fight him, you better all fight him now, because now if you're picking on Mikey Garcia, people gonna be like, man, you picking on the
picking on Mikey Garcia?
Picking on Mikey Garcia, because at the same time, he's a good fighter. However, he lost to Errol Spence almost every single round, and he don't have no belt. Mikey Garcia got everything to gain. What does Pacquiao have to gain?
I mean, Pacquiao has the belt. Pacquiao has just another probably 10 to 15, 20 million. I mean, dollars.
Man, that fight is not that huge, man. So you think they're gonna be? They done sold 30,000 tickets against last night?
Oh, last night. I haven't done my research on that, but I think that prediction wise, I don't know.
You think it will do that numbers? I personally don't. I think they sell 20K max, but against Pacquiao, Mikey Garcia, they both nice guys. The lead up for that is gonna be respectful throughout. The fight is gonna be fireworks, but the lead up is everything. They're gonna
do that at Texas Stadium, and I say at least 50,000 people will come there.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's still a good fight, but like I said, I'd rather see the Errol Spence fight. I'd rather see winners versus the winners. Mikey Garcia could fight a Danny Garcia. Let's see him versus Danny Garcia. If he beats a Danny Garcia, and then the winner of that fight could fight the winner of Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao. That sounds like a better flow to it than Manny Pacquiao versus Mikey Garcia. But at the same time, if Errol Spence does fight a Danny Garcia and they meet up down the road, that'd be great too. So I'm gonna go ahead and go get the phone so I could get the call in. Can you just Professor Name, keep up with the chat.
I'll keep it
talk
up.
to him.
I have something.
I'll be right back. So we
I want
can
to give
accept
a
all y'all
shout
phone
out
calls.
to so he'll be right back. We've got to switch the SIM card so we could get calls in. But I want to have a discussion with T-Tone Toledo. He said that this is the best card of the year so far. Let's go. And I think that's a valid argument. So for the undercard, they had Kyle, Khalid Sarif. Am I saying his name right? Against Roman Gonzalez, Chocolatito. This was an undefeated UK fighter from Yemen. He had a belt, I believe, the WBA belt, and this was really kind of two things. This fight, so this was to kind of see if Chocolatito still had it, and if Khalid was ready to get to the main stage. I also want to say he's actually of Yemen descent, so he's Yemeni by way of UK, and this was really a revival fight for Chocolatito, even though I will say that Khalid, he fought the wrong fight. He's usually a boxer. He went to the Olympics as a boxer, so he has a strong boxing pedigree, and for some reason he tried to slug it out. And then under that was the, not the co-main event, but the co-main event, which was Harris, who's also from the UK,
versus Martinez.
Which was a really good fight, which was a war. Martinez was able to drop him one time with the body shot, but they both took some hellacious blows and showed it. But reason I respond, so
it was a great card for sure. And
yeah.
T-Tone, call in too. I remember, I knocked you out a couple episodes ago, man. Fan, call in, man. It's all love at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to hurt you physically, just your feelings. So I'm pretty sure you can still call in, man. T-Tone, shout out to you. Shout out to Real Rap. Shout out to OG Swag. Shout out to everybody in the chat, all my Akhis. And y'all could go ahead and call in. I just opened up the phone lines. So I'm going to take calls by order before we move on to the next topic. And you could finish reading the comments if you want to, Professor Nan.
So I'll give a shout out to Real Rap. He says, fake news. It says Errol versus Pac sells better than any fight. If it's in Cowboy Stadium, it's a sold out night.
That's a fact.
There's some legitimacy to it. I think with the Cowboy Stadium, because of Errol's background, it could. I'm not sure that Errol versus Pac will sell more than Danny Garcia. But we also there's one point that Danny Garcia against Mikey Garcia. Pardon me. But Mikey Garcia is on the zone, so Pacquiao would have to do a one fight deal with.
No. Mikey Garcia is not. Mikey Garcia is not signed with the zone.
He's with Hearn.
No, he only did the one fight deal with Mikey with the zone. So he free to go to PBC. He could explore his options. He actually talked about it. He said he could go to ESPN and fight under Bob Arum, under one fight contract if he could fight Terrence Crawford like he talked about, or even a Pacquiao on PBC. But they want that fight. The zone wants it on their network, of course, but I don't think Al Heyman will allow that to happen. But I do agree with Real Rap. I think Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao is a $2 million pay-per-view. I mean, 2 million pay-per-view sales. Easy.
No way.
Easy. What are you talking about? Errol Spence, he proved he a star 2-time on pay-per-view.
Neither one of them.
Back to back.
Like both of them they sold like $350 each for their fight. Okay, and then they're going to.
And like, what did Manny Pacquiao sold against Keith
saying.
Thurman? He sold $400. And what he sold against Mayweather.
That doesn't translate like they should. That's Mayweather. That's man, and that was a long time ago.
It matter your opponent though. It matter your opponent. If
they be happy with like $1 million to $2 million, no way. They're not touching $2 million.
Man, they touching $2 million. However, with Mikey Garcia against Pacquiao, they not touching $1 million. But I promise you, if Errol Spence fight Manny Pacquiao, let's say in Cowboy Stadium, they're going to probably sell it out 80,000 ticket, not 50,000 ticket. And they're going to sell 2 million pay-per-view at least, in my opinion, because, the track record when a fighter that has a name fights another fighter that has a name is automatically an explosion. And if you mix the truth with a little bit of the Pac-Man, and you get a spoon of the truth and a spoon of the Pac-Man, man, you got an explosion, literally. So with that being said, y'all could call in. I'm gonna drop the phone numbers. What y'all agree? Which is a bigger fight, Mikey Garcia versus Pacquiao, or Errol Spence versus Pacquiao? And we already know that's for 3 straps. And Errol Spence already whipped Mikey Garcia in front of everyone, like in front of his own fans. So whoever was a Mikey Garcia fan done became an Errol Spence fan or a hater. So you already know they're gonna tune in if he fights Pac-Man. So call in. Like I said, we want all the smoke, you know, T-Tone and all of the above.
Josh, biggest fight in the game.
Hold on.
I don't know about that one. Biggest fight in the game is Crawford versus Spence.
Yeah, or you know, Tyson
unless we
Fury.
do the heavyweight, yeah. Unless it's
Anthony
the
Joshua
heavyweights.
is one of the two for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let me just connect the phone.
No way, that's not close to the biggest fight. But go ahead.
How you doing, Akhi? This is 337. Who this is? Where you calling from?
Real Rap calling from Louisiana.
What's
Real
going
Rap.
on?
What's up, fam? How you doing?
Chilling. What's good, Akhi? What's good, Professor Nels?
Professor
Nels. Professor Nels dressed like a extra from the NWA movie, man.
I feel you. I got a little. It's strategic. So I'm repping a couple of things that I'll get into.
I
But
got
if you see on my
got you.
if you see on my hat, I got the good state of NC. Y'all can't see my shirt, but we'll get into that later. Go ahead though.
February
What's good
29th,
with you?
I get it.
Yeah.
February 29th, I get it. But look, anyway, bro, I disagree, and I love Errol, and I disagree, bro. $2 million, that's a stretch. $1 million, absolutely. I think he could definitely do $1 million. For Errol and Pacquiao to sell $2 million, Errol would have to be a heel. Errol would have to play the Floyd role. Like Errol would have to be attacking Mexicans, which he's not going to do. Errol would have to be attacking the country of the Philippines, which he's not going to do. But just off of the fact, you know, it's gonna sell well because everybody wants to see Errol fail. You know, just off of watching Wilder, you know, Wilder lost the fight, and Wilder is obviously the bigger draw. Everybody's talking about Wilder. Nobody's talking about the champion. That goes to show you the power of hate, man. You know, people spend their money to hate. So I disagree on the $2 million, but I think you can do $1 million.
Well, let me get my 2 cents in real quick, Real Rap. The only reason I said $2 million, remember when Mayweather fought Canelo, they did 2.2, and then when Mayweather fought Oscar, he did 2.7, if I remember correctly. So the reason why I think is that big of a fight because Errol Spence, there's a question mark next to his name. So people want to see how he's gonna look on his comeback after the car accident, after the aftermath of the car crash. So regardless of if the opponent is Manny Pacquiao or not, Errol Spence is gonna sell on pay-per-view his next fight, regardless of who it is.
I agree with you.
But if you even put Manny Pacquiao on the mix to sweeten the deal, and we know Manny Pacquiao as a 40-year-old defeated Keith Thurman, and we already know Errol Spence wanted that fight more than he wanted to breathe. Automatically, the fight should sell more than $1 million pay-per-view, up to $2 million. That's just my opinion.
Preach it to the choir. Like to me, when you're talking to me, you preach it to the choir. Like I don't really disagree with you at all, just on the number. The bigger fight, in my opinion, we already had the opportunity to get the Bud and Manny fight 4 years ago. You know, Bob dropped the ball on that, so I don't want to see that first. I'd rather see, if anything, Bud and Manny. You know what I'm saying? Get it in, and then that's the unification, and then let's get the ultimate undisputed with Bud and Errol. We've been waiting on that for 3 years.
Oh, you already know that's what's coming next. But I'm gonna call you back though, because I want to, like I said, we're gonna touch on the Larry and what he said. But I'm gonna call you back, so make sure you pick up because we got to keep it rolling. But I'm gonna call you back on that subject because once we hop onto that subject, I have to go and talk to the Real Rap.
Y'all trolls lucky he ain't let me cook like how I want it, because I got something for T-Tone too. But
okay. You already know. You're going to call after, so we're going to talk about it.
Fact.
Right.
Let's get it.
All right.
Peace.
Hey, T-Tone, you better call me. T-Tone haven't called yet. Tell T-Tone to call in.
Well, he said he looking for you. Put the number in.
Okay. I mean, man, T-Tone got my number. Like Terrence Crawford told Errol Spence, man, save it. Hey, save it. You know what I mean? Because, you trying to avoid the smoke. You're looking for excuses and shit. But, shout out to Real Rat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to OG Swag and all the above. 559, how you doing, Akhi? Who this is and where you call it from?
Yeah, what's up?
Jewels of Life, right?
Yes.
How you doing, Akhi? Can you lower the volume on the
Yeah, I muted it.
Okay.
I actually had somebody knock on the door, and so I didn't get a chance to turn it down.
Yeah,
so,
you good. So how are we feeling today?
Oh, I'm great. How about you guys?
Oh, you doing
We're
good?
feeling good.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about this Mikey Garcia thing because you said we only got 2 minutes. I think that you guys should knock it up to 4 minutes, and that should be fair.
Oh shit! I think I lost.
You
You
hung it up?
No. Yeah, I made a mistake. I called him.
Okay. He's gonna be because he just actually extended time and then it just like click.
Yeah, I'm better. Oh man.
It's going to voicemail.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna call him right back again.
The Jews of Life, we
calling you right back. My bad. I pressed the wrong button. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm being a producer, the host, the personality. So I'm kind of trying to get it in order. My bad, Jewels of Life. Like you said, you want 4 minutes, you got it. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah, that's cool. Anyways, here's my thing, man. I'm gonna get this Mikey Garcia thing out of the way because I only wanted to talk about 2 things. Here's the first thing. Mikey Garcia, he's not ready, man. Mikey Garcia, that was an exciting little fight. It was entertaining, and Mikey Garcia won because he hurt Jesse Vargas. And it was obviously clear that he hurt Jesse Vargas. And even though Jesse Vargas was beating the daylights out of him, he did what he had to do to get the victory. He made it where he was hurt, and he made it where he was tired, and his stamina was knocked off. And I think if they had 15 rounds, like if it was in the days of Ali and Frazier, Mikey Garcia would have dropped him with an extra 3 rounds. So here's my thing. Mikey Garcia and Jesse Vargas in that fight yesterday, they were tripping, both of them, and I'm going to tell you why. Mikey Garcia is tripping because he needs to sit down. He ain't about to get up. He ain't about to get in a rematch with Errol Spence. He got embarrassed. Nobody don't want to watch him be the Mexican version of Ali with Parkinson's disease. And then on top of that, he's not gonna beat no Manny Pacquiao. I remember you guys saying that, or him saying that he has that. Jesse Vargas said this, that Manny Pacquiao has equivalent power to Mikey Garcia. You got to realize that was 3 years ago in 2016. So that Keith Thurman, that Manny Pacquiao fought, that dropped Jesse Vargas. No, wait a minute. I'm in an error. Manny Pacquiao that dropped Keith Thurman. The Manny Pacquiao that dropped Keith Thurman. What do you think he would do to that Jesse Vargas? It would have been a knockout. He wouldn't have been able to compete. And the thing
I'm
about
not saying that.
Manny Pacquiao,
When's the last time Manny's had a knockout?
he knocked Keith Thurman down. I'm saying if he can knock down Keith Thurman, no, but he knocked him down. The point is, if Mikey would have took that same hit, I'm highly confident that he could have knocked him out. That's what I'm telling you. And he's undermining Manny Pacquiao's power.
And you basing that because of Mikey Garcia defense, how much he was getting hit last night, or you just saying he's just not on the level of all these welterweights?
He's not on the level because what he displayed with Errol Spence and Keith Thurman is a way more proven fighter than Jesse Vargas. And Manny Pacquiao dropped Keith Thurman, had him hurt in the 10th round. If you go back to that fight, he spit his mouthpiece out and ran away. And I say this to everybody. If you spit your mouthpiece out and you retreat and you run backward, that's a knockdown. That's equivalent to what Nonito Donaire did when he fought Monster Inoue. and Monster Inoue cracked him in the ribs so hard he made it run back to the corner, and he got on his knee, dude, like he was playing football or something, like he was waving the kick. That's how he did it in that fight. So I don't want to hear Jesse Vargas trying to say Manny Pacquiao is I don't want to hear him saying Mikey Garcia is as strong of a puncher as Manny Pacquiao is, because if he was that damn strong.
Yeah, so Jules of Life. Now, what you say to the fact that Jesse Vargas was hurt way more than he was hurt when Pacquiao hit him? Because when Pacquiao hit him, he was it was more like a stunt knockdown. He didn't see the punch coming, and speed equal power. And the speed equal power, yeah, flash knockdown. But when Mikey hit him, he was badly hurt, and he got hurt on more than one occasion. So what do you say to that?
What do I say to that?
Yep.
I agree with you on that, but here's my thing. My thing is that Keith Thurman, if you put Jesse Vargas, that version of Keith Thurman, up against Jesse Vargas would have got ran through yesterday. Mikey Garcia does not have the fighting skill to be able to handle Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I think I got to give credit to Jesse, because Jesse, he put on a hell of a fight. He was landing a lot of punches.
I'm not taking that away from you.
Yeah, so I see what you're coming from. You just have your opinion on that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their opinion. But I appreciate you for calling. Appreciate you for calling in.
Actually, Jules Life, I have Manny winning that. I mean, I have Mikey beating Manny Pacquiao if they fight.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you heard it. You heard it. Mikey Garcia beating Manny Pacquiao if they do fight. Professor Nim said, and I'm pretty sure Jewel of Life got Manny Pacquiao knocking out Mikey Garcia from what I heard. Appreciate you for calling in. I got to pick up the next caller. Thank you. I'm sorry. I picked up your call, hanged up on Jewels of Life, and you dip. So 928, I'm calling you back. I waited too long, but my bad. So you can read some of the comments on the chat till we pick up the call. This is the last call before we move on to the next topic. I hope it's T-Tone.
Yeah. So
tell T-Tone to call in.
Straight out of
and if y'all have any questions,
straight out of Morton, says Spence is too much for Crawford, and Pac he has the ability to hit the body and man down the bone crusher. Mikey is a lightweight, stay in the lane where he needs to be. Spence will break them. I don't think Mikey really wants that smoke from Spence. Against Crawford, I still think that's 50-50. I think it's a bad matchup for Pac-Man. So part of it, I agree. I don't know about Crawford. Crawford, I think a lot of people, because of his frame, looks a little slight. They think he's not as strong or as big as he is, but strength has never really been an issue.
He got that Andre Ward strength, yeah.
In the ring.
928, who this is, and where you calling from, Akhi?
I'm calling from Arizona, man. What's up?
What's up? How you feeling? What you want to talk about?
We're gonna talk about Mikey Garcia trying to rematch that thing.
Win that belt back.
Well, not back, but
like, who wants to see that?
Exactly.
Like, I like Mikey Garcia, but I don't want to see that fight again, bro. Like, come on, man. I think the fight that needs to be made right now is obvious.
Say it.
Pacquiao and Errol Spence.
Pacquiao Spence?
Yeah.
Who you got in that fight?
ESJ. All day. Ain't nothing but the truth.
Okay.
That's another one?
Oh no, that's the same call.
Now, I was saying who you have in that fight? Spence versus Pacquiao. Before we let you go.
Man, I got ESJ all good.
Okay. Okay.
ESJ.
What about Errol Spence versus Crawford? That's the better question.
Oh man, that's hard, bro. That's like some B type shit. How do you spell?
Yeah, that's a true 50-50 fight. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because they both top fighters, bro. Like,
yeah. Yeah, you can continue.
But I think
a lot of tools.
Yeah, absolutely, and he makes the adjustments.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah,
and
so
Spence,
they
push forward.
But unfortunately, I know you want to see the Spence versus Pacquiao, but I can almost guarantee you that's probably not gonna happen. I'm thinking we're gonna see in the summertime.
Yeah, appreciate
Pacquiao
and Errol
Mikey
Spence,
Garcia.
Peace, Akhi.
All right, man. I appreciate the love, bro.
I mean, this is more of a chance of Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence than Mikey, I believe, because of the money.
So Miguel Romero says Mikey needs to rebuild his stock. He did. It takes one fight. You like almost stop Vargas. That's it just takes one fight. You don't have to go through.
You got to do a little more.
No, you don't.
He still got to win a belt.
He went in a fight that not one person picked him except for Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm talking
about Jesse Vargas. Everybody was picking him, but we got a caller 312. How you doing, Akhi? Who this is and where you calling from?
This is Lalo calling from Chicago.
Chi-Town, what's good with you?
What's up, Akhi?
Yeah, so I was also impressed with Mikey's victory to a certain extent. He showed great timing. His power translates to the 147 division, but I also have to identify his flaws. And his flaws include he's very flat-footed. He lacks speed and he lacks head movement. And I think if a individual from the lower weight division wants to move up in weight, you have to find ways to offset the natural advantages of your opponents. And I don't think Mikey has that to beat any of the belt holders at 147. I think he has no business campaigning at 147. And I think all of the title holders, including Pacquiao, will defeat him. I think Pacquiao's pressure and offense will be too much for Mikey. And I don't think his timing will be enough. And I think Crawford would obliterate him.
He doesn't want Crawford. You want to go first? Yeah, but let me give you a scenario. So those were some good points that you brought up. But with that said,
he's a one-dimensional fighter.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't agree on that. But let me ask you one question. So remember what you said about Mikey? He's kind of flat-footed, does not that fast and stuff. So think about him and Juan Manuel Marquez. What do you see that's different between them?
I'll tell you exactly what's different. I'm very happy you brought that up.
Yeah,
Mikey won't take risks. He will not take risks to be great. When he fought Errol Spence, he didn't take risks because he was afraid to get knocked out. That's the main reason why Errol Spence was unable to knock out Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia would not throw his hands. That's another reason why he can't campaign at welterweight. He has a very low work rate, just like Broner.
I would say
low work rate, Pacquiao will he'll tear him to pieces.
So I want to say
took risks.
I want to say, well, like Marquez could take all the risks he want, but when he fought Mayweather, a guy that's better than him, it's just so much you could do. Against Errol Spence, he was just outclassed, so he just chose to survive instead. So if he actually threw some punches, he would have got knocked out. It wouldn't have did him any good. But I want to bring up.
He knows when to take the risk.
So I want to bring up a point you brought up. You said Mikey at welterweight, he's not his best version. I think I agree with you on that. He's a little sluggish at 147, but you got to understand he was never the fastest guy in the world in the lower weight divisions. And unlike Mayweather and Pacquiao, who carried the speed and power when they moved up in weight, Mikey carried the power. But one thing, like you said, he's not moving around, he being flat-footed. You have to keep in mind he don't have the quickness and the speed to move around and outbox guys that has more reach. And they are taller than him and bigger than him. So he has to apply pressure and go in the inside and fight at his range in order to win. Because, if he had speed, he don't have the elements, even in the lower weight divisions.
You're confirming my point.
Yeah, but I'm saying even...
my point. He was able to excel at the lower weight divisions because of his power. When he's fighting at welterweight, he's unable.
But he still have the power. He still have the power. Don't you think he still have the power?
He absolutely still has the power. So he has a fighter's chance of beating Pacquiao if he gets a counter, but that's about it. So does he have a chance? Maybe, but I think it'll be a clean victory for Pacquiao because it's if he lands the right hand.
Yeah, but you
here's
gotta
another
keep
thing,
in
one
mind,
more thing
Jesse
before you cut
Vargas
me off.
gave
One more thing.
Jesse Vargas
One
gave
more thing before
Pacquiao
you
a
cut me
tough
off.
fight too, and Mikey beat Jesse Vargas. Let's not forget, Jesse
And then
Vargas gave
Pacquiao is
Pacquiao a
open
good
to
fight.
the-
A C-level
And he-
fighter.
But he's a
C-level
40.
fighter.
He's 40.
That could have
1
been
years
ruled a
old
draw.
now.
That could have been ruled a draw.
Pacquiao is not in his prime. He's 41 years old too, fam. You
You're
know
right.
you got to keep that in mind.
He's not in his prime. If he was in his prime, he'd knock out Mikey Garcia.
Yeah,
So,
but
one more thing. Mikey Garcia is completely mismanaging his career. There are
I would
levels to
disagree.
this thing.
He-
And if you
he's
want
smart
to
as
fight
hell.
at 147,
Disagree.
he should campaign at 140, get all the belts there, do what Bud Crawford did, and then fight at 147. Who do you think you are to jump at 147 and do that? That's not how it works. You got to take your career serious like Floyd Mayweather did, man.
Well,
You got to
seriously.
build yourself to that level. And he's been
making smart
inactive, 11
decisions.
fights.
I think him going to the zone just for one fight, getting $7 million almost.
He
is
just
a-
wants money.
a
He
great
wants
idea.
to bank out. He wants
Yeah.
to cash out. That's
Wait.
all Mikey's doing. At the
Yeah.
end of his career, it's going nowhere.
He deserved it, but he fought. He took chances.
I
with
used
Errol
to be a
Spence.
fan, but I'm unhappy with his choices. Bud Crawford and Spence, they're the faces of the division.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I wouldn't argue with
you
that.
can always get an honorable mention.
I
and
would
Mikey
argue
gets
with
one.
the previous point, though.
Yeah, but
Okay,
so
guys.
appreciate
Sorry
you
for
to
the
call
rant. Take care.
you for calling in. Peace. You know.
Yeah, so
man, he went
I
off
would
on
totally,
Mikey, man.
I would
Yeah,
totally
I
disagree
with
about
that.
mismanaging his career. Early on, he had these long periods of inactivity, and it seemed like he would take a hiatus. But he was really taking control of his career. He was in a bad deal with Bob Arum. Bob Arum was basically trying to feed him to the wolves because he wouldn't do what he said. And this is somebody who I think is doing a really good job with his career. He's getting the fights that he wants. So if you're able to come from 135 and get a fight with Errol Spence, that's super lucrative, and it seems like he's setting himself up for another super lucrative fight with Manny Pacquiao. I don't see how that's mismanaging.
Sugar Ray Leonard pulled it off, moving up 2 weight divisions, and
so did
Sugar Ray.
Shane
Mosley.
it was Shane Mosley.
Yeah, and Shane Mosley. So with that being said, 337. How you doing, Akhi? Where you calling from, and who this is?
It's Joshua Simpson. I'm calling from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Josh, how you doing, Akhi? We gonna talk
Louisiana
about how
in
we
the
feeling
house
today.
tonight. Yeah.
You already know he
I'm
representing.
good. First, I know I don't have a lot of time. I want to get on Professor Neil first.
Oh, what's
Bro.
good?
Manny Pacquiao is the biggest draw still today worldwide in boxing. Now, Spence and Crawford might be a big fight here in America, but when Manny fights, the world watches. Spence and Manny is a way bigger fight than Bud and Spence nationwide across the world. But here in America, it is a big fight.
Yeah,
Now, we're talking about
I
Mikey
agree.
Garcia. Mikey Garcia, dude, from what you seen last night, let's be real now.
Let's be real.
Blowback boxing, really seen real talent. What I seen last night is C+ at best, maybe B. This dude
Ouch.
was
He was
not
getting hit a
impressive
lot.
at all. Jesse Vargas is a gatekeeper. Everybody Jesse Vargas fought beat him, really, basically. This is a gatekeeper, a setup fight for Mikey to win, and he looked it horrible. This fight could have easily go to Jesse or be a draw, and he left it up to the decision to be even taken from him. Luckily, the right man won. I think he won the fight, but to compare him to the Terrence Crawfords or the Errol Spencers or the Mannies, no way. No way. He can't, to me, this dude can't beat Sean Porter. He can't beat
He won't fight Sean Porter.
Serious?
He won't fight. He's being
He walked
strategic.
He walked out of the table with Danny Garcia. So against welterweights, he had to be very calculated. But the division is just too deep. So he looking to land a Manny Pacquiao fight. If not, he might want to move down. But he called out Terrence Bud Crawford. We'll see if that's capping or not. We'll see if Crawford call out his bluff or not. So I appreciate you for calling in, Akhi. We're gonna move on to the next topic and the next rounds. Always pleasure talking to you.
All right,
100.
no doubt.
Appreciate the call, bro.
So let's move on to the next topics.
T-Tone.
T-Tone. We call him later.
Did you want to call? Okay.
Yeah, we call it because he didn't call, man. We had
He said he
T-Tone,
did. He said he did. So
what's his? Tell him what's T-Tone. What's your zip code? Just drop your zip code so we can see it. For the people on the chat, if y'all want to interrupt our conversation because y'all have a question that y'all would like us to answer, just drop a super chat. It could even be for 1 penny. We're going to talk about it. With that being said, moving on to the next round, Andre Ward came out talking about Wilder. He said that Wilder has to be honest with himself if he wants to, win the trilogy match with Tyson Fury. That's official. Just to let the people know, Wilder versus Fury is official, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. However, I just want to get your take on Andre Ward. Now, what do you think about his statements about, Wilder claiming that the costume was 40 pounds and that kind of affected his performance and was the reason why he lost, or one of the reasons. And, he kind of had a couple excuses. So Andre Ward said that he have to be honest with himself and throw all the excuses out of the window and blame it on himself to have a better chance of winning the trilogy match. Because even if he does everything right, it's still going to be tough.
Absolutely.
What's your take?
So he's been outboxed, out of the total 19 rounds, probably about 16, 15 of those rounds. So thinking that this one incident of you wearing a uniform into the ring is why you lost to this other guy is delusional at this point. And I'll give a shout out to Andre Ward because he obviously watched the shows, because I think I said something like that just last week or the other day whenever we talked about that. And of course, so the first time when you are dealing with, I don't want to talk about like substance abuse or any kind of addiction or problem that you have, is you have to first admit that you have this problem, right? Because if you don't, then you're not going to fix it. So if he doesn't admit that I haven't really probably worked on my craft as I should because I've always had this eraser, then he's not going to work on that. He's going to be doing these silly pirouettes, which I see him do in the ring sometime when he's sparring. It's like spinning around and kind of clowning and showing his overall athleticism, but he's not working on key things that's going to make him a better boxer. And when he goes up against somebody like Tyson Fury has been in the ring since he was 5 years old. It's like swimming. I mean, it's like walking to him. It's a very natural thing. It's like
second
Floyd.
Nature.
It's second nature. It's like Floyd, and probably even maybe not Andre Ward. Like Andre Ward's probably a little bit older. But
and that's
still.
why your point is when Deontay Wilder fights a Tyson Fury, he's always a step behind because it's second nature to Tyson Fury. Wilder started boxing late, so he has to think on his next move. Tyson Fury is just muscle memory. So what's your take on the costume? Can that affect you if you're wearing something for 40 minutes, for 30 minutes that weighs 40 pounds maybe, you walk in the ring and you're not as elusive, and then someone coming at you, you don't even have time to basically get your legs under you. What's your take on that?
I think it's a poor excuse, particularly Wilder was on a Joe Rogan show, and he was talking about how he does most of his activities, or his high intense activities, maybe his hit activities, with a 40-pound vest on all the time. So his body is like used to kind of working with that. And if anything, once he got it off, maybe he would have, felt a little bit lighter. So sometimes, how you work out with weights or do stuff. So I might box with some weights in my hands. Then once I put them down, then I'm just super light and fast, right? So I'm not going to be necessarily worn out unless I'm doing intense activities over a long period of time. This guy took a nice even stroll to the ring wearing that uniform. And come on, I feel silly even talking about this.
Well, I do want to say that, when you wear a 40-pound costume for 40 minutes, probably is not the smartest thing to do when you're facing a Tyson Fury. The reason why, this guy, after like gaining 150 pounds, having 2 tune-up fights, and then he had a fight with Wilder, he gave Wilder a tough time. So it's like Wilder had to come in the best shape, prepared on 100%, and you wearing a 40-pound costume for 30 minutes, and I know how uncomfortable they are when you wear them. So by the time he got in the ring, I know that could play into, you not looking good in the first or second or third round, but eventually you in such a great condition, like Andre Ward touched on, that by the third round you're gonna be elusive. However, he never got to that. By the third round, Tyson Fury cracked him in the ear. We thought he busted his eardrum. Yeah. Of course, we not prophets. We not prophets. We don't know the unknown. So with that being said, I just want to clear up. It was actually a cut in the ear. It took 7 stitches. Regardless, the point remains, it messed up his equilibrium. That's why he looked like he was off balance the whole night. You know what I mean? So I don't think it was the costume.
Your head knocked around.
Yeah, I don't think it was the costume. It was the fact that Tyson Fury was 70 pounds almost bigger than him, or 40 pounds.
40, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you see them against, right next to each other, man, Fury was so much bigger than him, reach-wise, height-wise, and I think Tyson Fury even give Tyson Fury problems. If Tyson Fury fight himself, and he in a situation where he fighting a fighter that's taller than him and has more reach and more height and bigger than him, that's tough for any heavyweight. So Deontay Wilder has the power to change all of this. But one thing for sure, like Andre Ward said, he has to be honest with himself. He has to put the blame on himself, like Akon said. He said it best, put the blame on me. Wilder need to blame it on himself so he could get technically better to set up the KO punch. Because all it takes is one. Fury could be 100 times better than Deontay Wilder. But all Deontay Wilder has to do is crack him with one punch. And that goes to my point, which we talked about last show. And I said 2 ways to defeat Deontay Wilder when he was undefeated during the prediction. I didn't get my prediction right, but I told y'all. Even Deontay brought up the same point. You could either try to be perfect the whole night, that's tough to do. You could even ask Tyson Fury that and box around. Mm-hmm. However, you have to be perfect the whole night. Wilder have to be perfect for 1 second. Or you could reverse the roles and you go hunt the hunter and bully the bullier, which take heart and look for the KO. And, knock him out before he knocks you out. And that's what Tyson Fury did. So, like I said, I predicted that. I didn't think Tyson Fury was going to be able to pull it off. I didn't even think Tyson Fury was crazy enough to pull off a move like that. But he did. So, shout out to Tyson Fury for doing so. However, we have a trilogy on our hand.
We do.
Officially, Deontay Wilder came out saying that, and his team and his manager, they said that they already activated the rematch clause for the third fight. So with that being said, it's official. It's on. The trilogy match, we don't know what's the date. They are negotiating that, but he is blocking the AJ fight. Deontay Wilder is not letting that slide. He said he'd rather go out on his face or his back. He'd rather die in the ring. He's willing to die in the ring. That's what he does for a living. Now, what you think about that fight? A trilogy match in our hand. It's a great fight. The second fight lived up to everything from the expectations to the hype, and Tyson Fury put on the show. Deontay Wilder didn't live up to what he was saying, but he's trying to rewrite the wrong. He has the right hand in the eraser to erase everything the judges did and to erase history. He has the power to erase what happened in history. So with that being said, can he pull it off? What's your take on it? Bomb Squad Nation, stand up. What do you think, Professor?
They are out here in droves because I just hear everything from the gloves and I don't know, like they put some grease on the mat so he would slip and pull some.
We're gonna talk about that next round.
All right,
if you want to, but
all right, so
more so on that.
I don't think it's a good decision. So part of it is he's in the exact. Well, I'll take that back. I was going to say he's in the exact same position as Anthony Joshua was when he had got knocked out by Andrew Ruiz. The only reason I kind of took it back is that I don't want this to be the argument, but still, even when they introduced Tyson, they introduced him as the lineal champion, right? So he's undefeated. So with Ruiz, he wasn't a champion. He was a fill-in. He had a loss before. He had been beaten before, so that's the circumstance a little bit different. But the reason I say that is very comparable is that if Deontay Wilder loses this fight, particularly if he gets stopped, well, like where does he go from here? Where does he go? I don't necessarily know. I would like to see him. And part of it, Max Kellerman kind of talked about it, was just to kind of build up, take a couple of fights to just remind the public about your devastating power, but also let you work on some things. If you go right back into this fight, one camp is not going to allow you to make these vast improvements that you're looking to do. And if you lose this fight, your career is in shambles at this point.
I mean, he have 10 title defenses. He proved himself. But with that being said, I just want to interrupt you real quick. We have a super chat.
I seen
Kings of Kings Boxing. I appreciate the super chat. He said, Wilder need to improve his defense, and he's good. But, you know, there is a tough task to do, especially on a short period of time. And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. But you and Andre Ward kind of basically on the same page.
He watched the show.
You know, shout out to Andre Ward, one of the greatest. And Fury took a blueprint. Yeah, Fury took a blueprint out of Andre Ward, which is, you know, when he fought Froch, counter punch while you coming forward. You don't have to counter punch off the back foot. You could counter punch coming forward. So with that being said, Andre Ward, he said he don't want to see the trilogy match. I kind of said around the same lines, but now to looking back at hindsight, Wilder has to take the trilogy match. But as far as you and Andre Ward did say as well that AJ, maybe, you know, he not made for this when he lost to Ruiz. And we saw what happened with AJ. And AJ got hurt in the same round that Wilder got hurt in and lost his equilibrium. So with that being said, the trilogy match could be a totally different fight if Wilder doesn't lose his equilibrium. You never know. And Wilder got that one hit quitter. He was losing bad against Ortiz too. So in my opinion, it might be good to go right back to a trilogy match because it's to save face and his pride is on the line. You got to understand, a champion, you judge a champion on how he get back off a loss, how he bounce back. That's really the quality of a champion, is how he bounced back from a loss. So we'll see what Wilder does. We know when AJ lost to Ruiz, I think it took like a month or two for them to apply the rematch clause or agree to a fight. They didn't want to come to the U.S. again. You know, they made the fight in Saudi Arabia. Wilder, it took him less than a week. He said from the get-go, I wanted the trilogy match. So that's confident.
It's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, now based on what you were talking about earlier, you are correct, because what Tyson Fury saw in Deontay Wilder was, hey, it's like the continuance of the 12th round of their first match. You know, he realized, man, if I back him up, every time I hit him, he kind of like off balance or in an awkward position. Yeah. You know, and he's very awkward. So I could make that awkward work for me instead of working for him if I apply pressure. Because if I'm trying to be pretty and he's awkward, it's hard for me to counter him. But if I'm applying pressure and I'm making him cross his feet, as soon as he crosses his feet, I could automatically throw punches, and if I catch him, he's off balance, so I could follow up. And after I follow up, I could push him down and be dirty and do, veteran tactics, which Wilder complained about. But like I said, Hopkins got away with it, so Tyson Fury did as well. You know, Wilder could do the same thing, but he was just off balance the whole night. That's why I want to see the trilogy match. I'm with Wilder on this because it's how you bounce back from a loss. So we'll see what Wilder is made of. It could be a case where Fury is just a better man. It could be a case in the heavybweight division today, like, you know, rock, paper, you know, scissor, you know,
really?
Shoot. You know what I mean? Like the triangle theory. AJ could beat Fury. Okay. Wilder could beat AJ. Tyson Fury could beat, Wilder at any time. So we never know. It's the theory of the unexpected. That's why we want to see these fights. So like I said, I don't think Wilder, even if he loses the trilogy match, is all over. He's a popular fighter. If he rebuilt his name, he could automatically get back and get a shot at a world title or be a mandatory somewhere.
It is, but so it's a couple of things. So if he does it, we're not just talking about his public image that will be shattered, but just psychologically,
confident
Like,
was.
how do you get over that? You were this person who won every fight to a certain point, had knocked out everybody, and we could at least say had knocked down everybody that you had fought. You were the bomb squad. You epitomized that. And then, so I think for him to kind of get over that, and that's the hardest thing in boxing. We were saying earlier, Mike Tyson is, boxing is 10% physical, 90% mental. I would say it's maybe closer to 25 to 75, but it is important to note that the mental aspect is the most important part. Like once that goes, then it's hard to recover.
However, Tyson Fury is the only one in the heavyweight division that's 6'9", that's that skilled, with that good defense, with that good of a chin, with that confident. So the key is maybe it's only the fact there's only one Tyson Fury. So even if Deontay Wilder loses it, mentally, I feel like Wilder could realize, hey, man, he's just a better man. And I think he could live with that because he's willing to fight the best. That's what the sport is based on, the best versus the best. Now, can you hit the bell, Professor Nim? We have the topic of the day.
No, we got another super chat from Kings of Kings Boxing. It said Ward retired and turned to a hater, not being genuine. Whatnot. Okay, you say that, but also look at Terrence Crawford. People are not talking about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford also went and he's not retired. He's a champion. I wouldn't call him a hater, but he went and said Fury outboxed him, that the referee should have stopped the fight. That the corner should have threw the towel in. Probably the fight should have stopped a little bit earlier. And I think if you go and talk to him about why they're doing a trilogy, so this is not just fans kind of talking. Like, these are people who were boxers, who are boxers, and that are in the know, who are giving him that advice.
Well, Errol Spence said he got his money on Wilder in a trilogy match. So I do see your point. Andre Ward's perspective is he's not thinking emotionally. He's not thinking about Deontay Wilder pride. He's thinking about Deontay Wilder's sake and his image, like you said. So he's looking at it like, hey, you better off rebuilding your career instead of, hopping back to a trilogy match.
All right, next topic.
Next topic is the topic of the night, and that's Deontay Wilder is the last Black American hope, according to Larry Merchant.
Larry Merchant.
Man, Larry Merchant was on PBC, and shockingly, because he was hating on Al Heyman, claiming PBC is the cancer of the sport. Jim Lampley was preaching that, and old media. So with that being said, just based on them comments alone, I want you to first of all get your take on this, and then I speak on it. And it's going to be a back and forth because you already know this is the topic of the night.
So he said last. I saw. Did he say last American Black Hope or last Black Hope?
Well, I hope he didn't say last Black Hope, because that don't even make sense. Because in order for there to be hope, there need to be no chance. The main dominant fighters in the game are black, so that don't even make sense. So he said last American Black Hope in the heavyweight division.
In the heavyweight division.
So what's your take on that, Professor Nam? Preach.
So, Larry Merchant has a way with words. Sometimes it can be eloquent. Sometimes he has a way of kind of putting his foot in his mouth. But if I do kind of stand back and just kind of be objective and not think about how or look at it from a lens where I could find it offensive. When I look at American Black heavyweights right now, I don't see a very kind of healthy crop of fighters coming up. But it's not like I've been going to like all the amateur bouts and like looking at it and just kind of seeing. I'm just seeing just basically the kind of like top 200 ranked heavyweights and how many are Black American heavyweights. And there are not any, we saw a couple and who are the kind of the supposed to be top, some of the top ones. And that was Charles Martin against Washington. And they are terrible to me, but they're American Black heavyweights. And then we saw what happened to Dominic Brazil. He got kind of wasted. And then you have like the kind of smaller heavyweights that are kind of like coming up. But I'm not sure if anybody at this point is a threat to the crown except for Deontay Wilder. I don't think it's the last hope. I don't understand that kind of
well, we know where it's coming
view
from.
on it.
I mean, Larry during that interview, he said he been smiling ever since.
Yeah, he was so happy.
What are you saying?
He said that he woke up in the morning was just like, I was smiling Sunday morning and
I've been smiling ever since. So I just want to touch on, first of all, for you to say Black American hope. I thought we were all Americans. So why don't you say he was the last American hope? Why you have to use Black American? Because let me explain to the viewers, because Deontay Boxing Nation dropped a great video on that. Go check it out. White hope got created. This term got created when Jack Johnson was knocking out everyone back in the day.
Exactly.
So they wanted
Jim
a white
Jeffries,
hope to be like, you know what, man, because we tired of Jack Johnson just knocking out everyone. So they dragged Jim Jeffrey out of retirement. They were like, you the white hope, come save the day. Because he done knocked out everyone for like 7 years. He was reigning champ. Back in the day, it was like 32 rounds almost. It's like there's no split decision. You had to either knock your opponent out or be knocked out. So with that being said, Jim Jeffrey came out of retirement and Jack Johnson knocked his ass out as well. So that's why
gave him the business. So this was the first televised bout ever. It was crazy.
The white hope term got created because boxing have been dominated from one certain group, and that certain group is the coincidentalist. That's what we preach. So with that being said, for you to say Black hope when every great have been from this group that you trying to label as Black hope. So we talking about Joe Louis, Jack Johnson. We talking about Sugar Ray Robertson. We talking about Muhammad Ali. We talking about Mike Tyson, Roy Jones. And the list goes on and on and on to Floyd Mayweather today, to Crawford, to Errol Spence. All these fighters, not named Crawford or Errol Spence because they still have to prove themselves. All these other fighters I named are arguably on the top 10 pound for pound of all time. So for you to say Black hope, like they need hope, that don't make sense, because at the end of the day, they have all the talent. They still the most dominant in the game. But it's just show you that, man, he been waiting on this day. Rocky actually came to fruition. This fight, that's why he was smiling. So, like, for Larry to make them statements shocked me, because, like, as an intelligent man as he is, he know better. But he also the same man that said, if I was 50 years younger, he would have beat Mayweather. So we know he capping. But with that being said, like I said, we already know boxing is a sport that's a lot of pride involved, there's race involved, et cetera, et cetera. But for Larry to say Black American, like we all not Americans, why you have to categorize a certain group? Because you have to keep in mind, I'm a citizen, Professor Nem is a citizen. You see the eagle over there, this is the Yemeni eagle, because this is where my parents from. So I'm considered as American, right? Arab American. But at the end of the day, they call me Akhi. You could call me Arab baby, whatever you want to call it. But we don't call white people British American. So why are we going to label, Black people Black American? Oh, it's not like Deontay Wilder is not fighting for the United States. That's why Muhammad Ali went to the Olympics and threw away the gold medal. Go do y'all research on that, since everybody believe in Google. Till this day, we have guys like Larry Merchant
to this day
bringing up, talking about Black hope, trying to get back for the white hope, but that's a term y'all created because y'all were looking for it. Ain't nobody looking for no Black hope, because all the talent in all the weight divisions are mainly Black. And keep in mind, Tyson Fury, yes, he's white, but he's not
Hispanic.
He's not from the United States. So for you to say, the last Black hope, like, Tyson Fury was from the United States. No, like Tyson Fury is from a whole different country. He from the UK, and we already know there's another champion over there that's also black, and that's Anthony Joshua. But in the UK, there's not as much racism as it is in the United States, because Wilder was getting booed in Las Vegas against Tyson Fury, and I know all of them wasn't just Tyson Fury fans all of a sudden, because his last fight he sold like 3,000 tickets. His other fight before that he sold 5,000 tickets. So out of nowhere the whole stadium is packed cheering his name, booing Deontay Wilder. It sounds like Deontay Wilder haters to me. The only fighter that get booed is in his own country, like Floyd Mayweather did every single time. But like I said, watch when Tyson Fury fights Anthony Joshua in the UK, if that happened. Watch, because things happen for a reason, guys. I truly believe in that. So watch when that fight happen. It's going to show a perfect example of no racism in the UK, almost none. Because
I wouldn't
people
say that. I wouldn't say that.
Well, I'm just saying they're gonna be preaching for. They're gonna be.
There's a Muslim culture that they. So I don't say like no racism.
I don't want to say no racism at all, but less than the U.S.
Okay,
Correction. Yeah, appreciate you for correcting me on that, because they're gonna be cheering for AJ. They don't care about the color of the skin. When you see babies, they're all playing around. The only racism only get involved when the father come into play and be like, yo, don't play with him because of his skin color. So like I said, in order to change, we have to quit being insecure. Man, go watch Get Out or something, Larry.
With that said, before we, if y'all, first of all, if y'all don't know about Jack Johnson, please look him up. It's the first Black American heavyweight champion of the world. There's a beautiful documentary that you can probably find online. It's called Unforgivable Blackness, The Rise and Fall of Jack Johnson. It was done by Ken Burns, who's just a terrific documentary filmmaker. I use it sometimes for some of my courses. I teach some courses in like introduction to filmmaking, but I also teach diversity and equity, which is a good topic for it too. So just a little teaching moment. Unforgivable Blackness, Ken Burns, is a great documentary.
Know your history. Know your history. That's for sure. That's why I love Muhammad Ali, because he changed the way people looked at boxing, because he was just a public figure where he spoke on everything. Everything. Like if something that was taking place in China, and I'm not talking about the disease that's going around, he will have spoke on it. But we don't see athletes today speaking on that, because not everybody is cut from the same cloth as Muhammad Ali. And that's why y'all see his star rising up in Hollywood. All the Hollywood stars is on the ground. But Muhammad Ali stands for the highest, the greatest, right? His star is on the wall. It's not on the ground, because you don't step on Muhammad's name, because that's the prophet name. That's why he don't want to put it on the ground. So at the end of the day, if you believe in God, if you're being truthful, God will always be on the lookout for you. And if you got God on your side and on your corner, then you're going to be, nobody going to be able to mess with you, period. So with that being said, I have a caller on the phone. So let me connect it to the studio. Israel Rap. I promised him yesterday during the live while we was interviewing David Morrell
Jr.
David Morrell Jr., that we was going to call him back when it comes to the subject. He's on the phone line. How you doing, Real Rap? Talk to me. Can you hear me?
What's good? Yeah, it was good with it. It was good. It was good. Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, so you heard us. So go ahead, start preaching, because I just want to get your take on it, and I promised you yesterday. So Real Rap. Go ahead, freestyle. Let them know what time it is.
On the Larry Merchant situation.
Yeah, that's what we on right now. The Larry Merchant comment.
All right, for sure. Basically, Larry Merchant, he wrong, bro. Like, matter of fact, Larry Merchant remind me of the cat. Like, y'all seen the movie Trading Places? You know what I'm saying? Like when when the big boss got his just do at the end and went broke. Like that's what Larry Merchant feel to me right now. Like he looking for attention. HBO done hit the HBO done went to shit. And nobody paying attention to Larry Merchant or Jim Lampley. When
the cancer game.
When Floyd was out there killing the game, and Floyd was giving you the best boxing you've ever seen, especially in this generation, you know, it was a problem. When this cat Lomachenko started to get a little buzz, you know, everybody thought he was the best thing, you know, since sliced bread. So as far as with Larry Merchant, I'm not trying to hear what he's talking about because honestly, man, Deontay Wilder brought the heavyweight division back, you know, to
100.
to almost,
Yeah, back to life. You know, focus on that because it's all about the best versus the best.
facts. And this is what happens when the best fight the best, man. Like, you're gonna get L's, you know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna win,
exactly.
somebody's gonna lose. But as far as the impact, and that's what I've been talking about this all week, you know, for somebody to lose a fight and be talked about 10 times more than the actual person who's the champion, how can you tell me that, you know, he's not great, or, you know, he's the so-called possible, you know, last great heavyweight? See, the problem with Jim Lampley, he's been waiting his whole life, you know, to spew the little bullshit that he just said, but he couldn't because he lived in the era of Ali, he lived in the era of Tyson, he lived in the era of Floyd, he lives in the era of Mike, of
Crawford, Errol Spence.
June, you know. Say again?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He lived in eras where he saw, you know, great fighters that were black. So he, you know, it ain't like he could have, you know, he had a white hope, but it never came through.
And y'all talking about Larry Merchant
never came
because I think he said Jim Lampley.
Right.
Yeah, Jim Lampley was looking for the same thing. But with that, huh?
I said both. I started with Larry Merchant. And I also mentioned Jim Lampley, but they're both in the same breath. Brian Kenny too. None of them know boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been at all these boxing events and still don't know boxing. Like, or if you do know boxing, you obviously have an agenda that you're trying to push, which is like you're trying to put a white heavyweight name, you know, as the face of boxing, and it's never gonna happen, bro. Because like y'all, like as long as there's black fighters around, you know, it is what it is, bro. Black and Mexicans are always going to run boxing, period. Yeah. It's been like that since the beginning. It's going to stay like that. And every now and then you'll have a really good white boxer, but the face is always going to be a black or a Mexican. It's just how it is.
Yeah, and just to clear up, you know, it ain't about race according to Tyson Fury. You know, Tyson Fury is not being racist, and none of that. It's nothing had to do with Tyson Fury. Is what Larry said. You know, he brought it up to the table. We didn't even bring it up. Larry just, you know, out of nowhere, he said he been smiling ever since because, you know, he believed Deontay Wilder is the last black hope. However, you remember what they did with Jim Jeffrey. They brought him out of retirement. It's one thing if Tyson Fury is reigning for years. He's reigning for years. Let's say he was from the U.S. Let's say this scenario. Let's say he was from the U.S. Tyson Fury was knocking out everyone like he was Tyson, the original Mike. And it got to a point where they told Deontay Wilder, who retired 50-0, they were like, you know what? Come out of retirement and knock out Tyson Fury for us because we need a black hope. He done knocked out all of the top black fighters for the past 10 years. And then Wilder was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to come out of retirement. And he got knocked out. Then, you know, it will make sense if you say something like that. But if you say something like that when it's for the first time in history happened, and now that they made the Rocky movie come to fruition, now you like, man, I've been smiling ever since. Like, it happens every day, B. Come on, man. So with that being said, we already know what time it is with Larry. He did it with Floyd Mayweather. I remember the time when Floyd Mayweather would fight. He would criticize Mayweather not being too exciting. His next fight, he will be exciting, and it'd be the fight of the year. He will say, oh, well, there's no asses in the seats. And then next fight, we see what Floyd Mayweather became, Money May. He became the superstar in the game, proving him wrong. He still won't give him his credit. He'd be like, oh, he a born fighter. You know, he boxes around. But when Vasyl Lomachenko does the same thing, they talking about, oh, well, Vasyl Lomachenko, he got skills. They always try to focus on the negative. And and Floyd Mayweather proved Larry wrong every single time, man. And he never gave him his props. Jim Lampley, Larry, Brian Kenny, y'all could go back and watch his interviews with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather proved him wrong every single time. Every time he said he would duck at someone, the next day he showed up and showed out and went back on the show. So with that being said, man, appreciate it talking to you, Real Rap. Always great wrapping it up with you. And, you know, I'm going to keep the show rolling.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
All right,
100,
bro. Appreciate the insight.
And I still want to talk to T-Tone. T-Tone, call
T-Tone,
in.
where you at?
You know, drop your area code so I know who you is.
He did. It was a.
You already.
It was a 419. I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the show, but he definitely.
Okay, you said 419.
Let me just double check.
You sure?
That's what I'm double checking.
Is he from Ohio?
I don't know where. I mean, yeah, Toledo, Ohio, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and call him then.
Yeah, 419.
Oh, should I wait on the next
Nah,
topic?
just
Because
call him.
he don't want to talk about Deontay Wilder. I know that. So let's just go ahead till I get
because
to a topic you want to talk about. Yeah.
That's the next one anyway.
No. Let me touch on something you brought up, which you were saying Deontay Wilder kind of need to build his resume back up. So what do you think about a rumor that was going around that Ortiz is negotiating with Ruiz? So what do you think about that fight? Because, you know, Tyson Fury was very effective coming forward. People saying, hey, what if Ruiz could do the same thing? Even though Ruiz, the key word here is shorter and has less reach than Tyson Fury. You know, he could be 300 pounds now, but at the same time, he don't have the reach and height, so Wilder could keep him at the end of the jab and catch him eventually. But at the same time, he did have a Cuban trainer. Ruiz has a Cuban style. Just like Marquez, which we were talking about. Marquez, his trainer, he was schooled in Cuba. So with that being said, what's your take on that? What do you think about that fight? And who you favor?
So you're saying that that Ortiz is rumored to fight
Ruiz.
I mean, I think that's a good fight to make at this time because they're both right there at that second tier, right? So they're not. So there's a 3-headed monster, which is. Still put Wilder up there, but, you know, maybe it's a 2-headed monster. But, you know, but the 3 clearly best are Wilder, Fury, and Joshua. And then right under them is this kind of second tier of very good boxers that I would include Ortiz, Ruiz, and probably Joshua Parker, even though he can be kind of, but probably Joshua Parker. He actually beat Ruiz and only has the loss to. Well, did he draw with Dillian White? I forget the
Who?
Joseph Parker, but
no, he lost. He lost.
He lost. Okay, yeah. So I take that back. But so I guess so. Dillian White probably goes at that second tier. So at that second tier, you probably have Dillian White, Ruiz, and Ortiz. I think that they definitely should fight each other because what they're doing is they're all vying for opportunity to fight the big 3 at this time.
Monsters,
Yeah. So I think for them to kind of clean up some of that mess at that second tier is good. Dillian White, I kind of feel sorry for him. He's been waiting for his opportunity to have a shot at the heavyweight title. He only has the one loss to Joshua. He did get stopped by him. He actually hurt Joshua. It's the first time I had seen Joshua hurt. Caught him with a nice left hook. He has a beautiful left hook. He was out of shape for his last fight, but that's kind of getting off subject. But
yeah, but see, like Ruiz, he on that second tier, but he could be on that first tier because he beat AJ.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when your pops told me he not on the level of AJ, and AJ proved it, but I would have liked to see the best version of Ruiz. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. Mm-hmm. You know, you shape your own legacy. But at the end of the day, he do have a win against AJ. Dillian White has a loss.
A knockout win.
And he was floored. You remember? So AJ, he did outbox Ruiz, but he was outboxing smartly, being perfect the whole night. He didn't take no chances, as he should. So with that being said, I think Ruiz is on that second tier. He could easily go to the first tier if he put things together, be in the best way every single time, come prepared, because he could use a lot of his disadvantages to his advantages. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, you want to add any more to that? If not, you could hit the bell, Professor Nam.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a speculative bout, but I think a good heavyweight bout to make.
Yeah, so I want to get your take on the pound for pound rankings and where you rank Tyson Fury on the pound for pound. because Tyson Fury is very confusing with him because when he fights a Wilder, he's on the level of Wilder. He always step up to the level of his opposition. When he fights a Deontay Wilder, he shows out. When he fight Klitschko, he does the same thing. So them 2 wins alone, where do they put him on the pound for pound list? Because he dethroned a fighter that had 18 title defenses, and he also dethroned a fighter that had 10 title defenses. So, but he don't have no good wins in between, like him reigning as a champion. And that's what Roy Jones kind of talked about. He has to reign as a champion in order to be a great and prove himself. We already know you got it, but you got to prove it, just like all these other greats did.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that? And where you put him on the pound for pound list?
Then I have thought about that, and I wouldn't mind seeing him crack the top 10, maybe at like either 9 or 10. I could see that. Definitely not top 5. I think the top 5 is pretty solid in there, so I don't really have a problem with him. One is that he's undefeated champion. He just knocked out an undefeated champion with that. He's still kind of considered the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. And I think just because of the and I'm not talking about it because it was a clean fight. I think just because of his artistry and his execution of a game plan in his last fight, that a lot of people are gonna give him, credit. And that's what the pound for pound is about. Who would do well based on how their skills would translate up and down the weight classes.
Where would you put him at?
I would put him at 9.
Oh, you got him high up on the list. So ESPN pound for pound rankings came out, and they had him number 7. But they had Usyk in front of him. They had Inoue in front of him. So I didn't like Usyk being in front of him, just to be honest with you, because Usyk is campaigning at that weight division. He got another injury, and we already know Tyson Fury is the number 1 at heavyweight. Yes, he has all the advantages. There's no bigger heavyweight than Tyson Fury, but still, the whole thing about boxing is use your advantages as ways to get the W, because we seen Tyson did it, and I'm talking about the original Mike Tyson. He used his disadvantages to his advantages. We've seen Andy Ruiz did it. We've seen Pacquiao did it. You know what I mean? So a lot of fighters have did it in the past, and they will be able to pull it off. Like there's tall fighters. I even saw a 6'7" fighter at 154. Doesn't mean if you have the reach and height, you're automatically going to get the W. You know what I mean? You got to know how to fight tall and stuff. So it's to his credit, but he do have all the advantages. I have him higher on the list. I say he cracked number 6 to me. He cracked number 6, especially after the Wilder win, because of how he did it. So I really... if he prove himself over the long run, he definitely could even hop on to the number 1 slot and compete with Terrence Bud Crawford as pound for pound number 1 on split decision and according to new media. With that being said, your last take on it?
Yeah, and I was gonna say I'm punishing him a little bit because of his
dedication to the sport.
Well, yeah, he hasn't been consistent in his performances. He does step up, but his 2 performances. Prior, he had that one knockout that seemed kind of fluky, but his other performance against Wallen. But I still think, as somebody said that was a pound for pound performance. I would agree.
Yeah, that was a pound for pound performance.
I would keep him at.
I would co-sign Roy. Yeah, I co-sign Roy with that. Now, AJ versus Pulev. They said that's the fight. Is official. They working on the date and stuff like that. What's your take on that? AJ was basically saying he wanted Tyson Fury. Of course, Tyson Fury is caught up with Wilder for the moment. The trilogy match is on. So, it seemed to be ironic to me that he got to fight so quick as soon as Fury and Wilder announced that they fighting for the 3rd time. So what do you think about that Pulev fight? Because Bob Arum came out talking about Pulev is knocking out AJ, and then Pulev versus Tyson Fury next.
Cap, I'm not really interested in the fight. I don't know what it is. I just think it's allowing AJ to put a few more meals or pounds, I guess. He's from the UK, into his bank account. I'm not excited about it. It's disappointing again. It seems to be a constant theme with Anthony Joshua. He seems to disappoint me when it comes to these big fights. You're fighting Pulev. The biggest fight that you've had in the last couple of years is against Ruiz. And like Wilder and Fury are out here challenging themselves to be great and doing that. I like Anthony Joshua. I think he has a really good chance to beat both of those guys. That's all. I mean, that's all I really have to say about
but
it.
the confident level, which is boxing, is mainly mental, is not up there with those guys like Wilder and Fury. Especially Fury. However, I do think Fury and AJ is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. I will favor Fury slightly, but at the same time, if AJ bring out his best with his boxing level, I think he could box better off the back foot than Wilder, and he won't be so off balance. So I think, Fury versus AJ is a good fight. However, I still will favor Wilder against AJ. But for the moment, I mean, AJ's supposed to wash Pulev, according to my knowledge, as far as how they hyping him up to be as well. So, Bob Arum, of course, trying to promote a fight as he is Pulev trainer. Promoter. With that being said, the public know what time it is. Professor Nim what time it is. And you already know Akhi know what time it is. It's split decision time. Now we have 832 on the phone. Well, first of all, I got to connect it to the studio. My man want to talk about the heavyweight division. So, T-Tone, you next. So make sure you pick up when I call you. How you doing, Akhi? Who this is and where you calling from?
Hey, it's your boy Camacho. What up, boys? What up, boys?
What's going on,
Camacho, what's good with you?
Hey, Akhi, did you say that Tyson Fury would have troubles fighting a Tyson Fury? Bro, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah. So what I mean by that, for the people that don't know or the casual fans, is Tyson Fury is 6'9", that have an advantage as far as height and reach and weight against all his opponent. So if Tyson Fury is faced against someone that's bigger than him and have more reach and height, he will have trouble as well. So that's why I said Tyson Fury will give anybody in the heavyweight division problem. So if that kind of that went over your head, that's what I meant. But how you doing? What do you want to talk about?
I think everybody would have a hard time fighting themselves. But hey, shout out to Professor. High IQ respects high IQ. You know how it is. And I just wanted to talk about my dream scenario for the heavyweight division. Y'all ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So let's just say Tyson Fury, he beats Wilder for the third time. Get him out the way. Beats Anthony Joshua. All 5 belts are unified. Then he retires. All 5 belts are vacated. And that would be so crazy. That would be a complete reset on the heavyweight division. Every belt will be up for the grabs, imagine, Charles Wright comes back. He wants to get his IBF belt back. Let's just say they put Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk for the WBO belt. Let's just say Deontay Wilder wants to get his WBC belt back. And so I think that would be the best thing that would happen.
What, are you serious? That sounds like chaos.
Well,
so,
what happened? Hold on. You said Deontay Wilder to get his WBC belt back?
He's saying that basically it'll be a splintered kingdom, right? So there's not one king. There's these other bunch of fiefdoms that are kind of around. So you like the heavyweight division with Charles Martin having a belt? I think that is, come on.
Well, I mean, he's gonna go. He wants to get his IBF belt, but he's a lower class, so I think he'll get destroyed first. But I think a complete reset, a complete Thanos snap on the whole division. Everything gets spread out. That would be so crazy.
As far as I know, the belts that AJ has that he won off Martin belong to Tyson Fury. So AJ has to see Tyson Fury. According to Eddie Hearn, the sparring went very well for AJ. So it's a fight they want. AJ is begging for that fight. He told Eddie Hearn, make it at all costs. I just wish he kept the same energy with Deontay Wilder because we would have had that fight. So as far as that, I'd rather see the best versus the best. I'd rather see AJ versus Wilder, AJ versus Fury. Just them mix it up because, like I said, in boxing is the theater of the unexpected. So go ahead and get your last thoughts because I got T-Tone calling in.
Hold on 1 second though. I did come out your. So to me, what I would like to see is kind of like what Ali did back in the day. So I would like one unified heavyweight champion, and then that champion goes on a world tour and defends his belt. Whether that's Joshua, whether that's Fury, or even if that's Wilder. Particularly if that's Wilder. I think with the media machine that they are able to have, I think that they could make him real big. My issue is with his lack of skill at this point. But with that said, before we let you go, just answer this. So, what do you think? Where do you think that what happens in the trilogy? Say that Tyson Fury wins again. So where does Wilder go after that? But also the scenario, like, what if Wilder wins? Do they go for the fourth one?
No, they go.
Or what happens?
There's no rematch clause, so they're gonna go AJ and Wilder.
Okay, so go ahead, Camacho, before we let you go.
I think whoever wins this last third fight will be cemented as the WBC champ, and we're gonna have a unified fight by this December. That's my prediction. Now, Wilder's career, if he loses to Fury, I mean, it doesn't matter because you're losing to probably like one of the best boxers ever. I think that, like Tyson Fury said at the end of his match, Deontay will be a champion again. I think that his fighting style it's just weird. It's just really weird to recreate. It's all centered around one punch. I never seen that before. It's so unique. Everything he throws, jabs to the body, jabs to the head. Everything is just as an add-on to the right hand. So yeah, I think he's gonna make it hard. I think he's gonna fight a hard fight. I mean, can you imagine Deontay Wilder fighting someone like Big Baby Miller, with like 300 pounds, heavier than Tyson Fury, and he knocks him the hell out? I think Deontay Wilder will become the reigning champ after Tyson Fury. But like I said, I want Tyson Fury to unify the belts, and I want him to retire, and I want the belt to go crazy, and I want all these fighters just kill each other for the belts, And then in a couple of years, we'll have another unified champion.
It's so like you're anarchist. he just wants chaos. All right, appreciate the call.
For calling in, and I got the last caller.
We saving the best for last.
Two calls. I don't even think T-Tone gonna pick up because we got
about probably 5 or 6 more minutes, I think.
Yeah. So we kind of short on time. That being said, hopefully T-Tone, like y'all hearing the ring call as well because he be looking for the smoke. So you already know we're gonna show proof. Hey, T-Tone, what's up, T-Tone? How you been, man? Because, you know what I'm saying, I didn't mean to lay you out last time like that, man.
T-Tone, where you been hiding, man? Where you been hiding, T-Tone?
Where you been hiding? Ducking smoke or something?
Hey, man, enjoying the show, but, hey, Akhi, I had to give you a call because you said you're 2-0 on me.
2024, you 0-2. You debuted, you lost, and you got knocked out the last show.
You hung up on me.
You're making a comeback. So, okay, make your comeback, T-Tone, because we're short on time.
All right, hey, if Richard Steele would have been there, he would have gave you a hug and stopped it. But hey, I'm getting back to
you got saved by the bell. Don't flip it around, but go ahead.
I don't like Richard Steele. Hopefully Kenny Bayless. Let's give Kenny Bayless some love.
Hey, getting back to the monkey talk, man. Hey, man, that card, man, that was a cool card, man. The best card of the year, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. It's early.
Yeah, it was. It's early, but it was candidate of fight of the year, and the whole card was stacked.
Great fights, great fights. Yeah, great fights.
And just getting to the Mikey talk. Hey, when Mikey moved up, man, when he fought Spence, Spence beat him, but look you could tell, right? Second, third, fourth round, Mikey was tired, man. It takes time when you move up in weight to get ready. Now, Mikey's been now at this weight at 147 for a year now, so. He didn't get tired the other night. So Mikey's getting better, man. So don't count Mikey out against Pat.
I didn't count him out.
I'm not.
I ain't count him out.
I'm actually picking him. Yeah. I don't know if I'm actually picking him.
It's a 50-50 fight, but I'll probably favor Pacquiao though. However, T-Tone, let's get straight to it though. I want to talk to you about something else. They said Canelo, he picking a dangerous opponent next. Who you think it's gonna be?
It's gonna be a champ.
Who? Right? Because they talking about
champs in a row.
Who fought Gennady Golovkin more?
Ain't nobody
No,
doing that.
The
Only
Cuban fighter
Canelo.
that fought Gennady
Only
Golovkin.
Canelo's doing that. You know, let's keep it straight on that. Hey, man, they're asking up Cinco de Mayo, man. Hey, we want to see a Canelo fight a champ, and they won't sign the paper, man.
The easiest champ out there. That's what
If
he
you
gonna
think
look
you can
for.
win, you're gonna sign the paper and take all the glory. If you don't think you can win, you're gonna wait.
It is.
So that's
But
what
so
you can all say
So
about
so
that,
you
know?
saying so you saying he gonna cherry pick the easiest fight? Is that what you saying, T-Tone? You gave up on Canelo already?
Well, no. If you're saying the cherry pick is fighting a champ, that's you.
The easiest. I'm saying he gonna pick the
Billy Joe's
easiest fighter.
undefeated. Smith's undefeated.
He talking
No,
about
so,
they said Willie Monroe Jr.
Willie Monroe Jr.
That's what they said. That's probably an option. Murat. There's
cap.
also Smith, Billy Joe Saunders. They talking about it might end up being Smith. It might be Willie Monroe Jr. So what do you think, man? So if he picking Willie Monroe Jr., you calling in to go off on Canelo?
No, I'm going in. Hey, man, Canelo can't help it if they don't want to fight him, man. Hey,
well, hold on.
Yeah, man, T-Tone, come
Hey,
on now.
heavyweight.
He sound like he lowballing fighters. He ain't looking for no smoke.
Hey.
Come on now.
yeah, hey, look, he's going for the best champ at 168.
He
And
is.
then we'll let Benavidez
You know who's
handle
that?
the rest.
Caleb Plant. That's Benavidez, but he said Benavidez is he Mexican. He don't fight his people.
right.
But he fought Angulo and Lopez. Weren't Angulo and Lopez Mexicans?
Yeah,
Hey,
definitely.
I'm not sure about Lopez.
I'm not
At
sure about that.
168,
What about Angulo though? Is Angulo Mexican? Cause he fought him, remember, on pay-per-view.
Benavidez.
Yeah, I'm talking about is Angulo Mexican because he said Canelo said he don't fight Mexicans, so I'm trying to figure out is Angulo Mexican because you could confirm to me.
Hey, Canelo fights everybody, man.
Man, he sound like he looking for that
Hey,
easy road. But
nah,
anyways,
nah, Canelo,
T-Tone, you done
he's
got
gonna
knocked
fight-
out again. You
who
couldn't
else- hey,
confirm
Akhi, who
if
else is
he's
fighting 5
Mexican
champions
or
in a
not.
row?
Huh?
Who's doing more than fighting 5 champions in a row?
Yeah, so
Who's doing more
Tito,
boxing?
I'm gonna have to let you go. Appreciate you for calling in. I got one more caller. You know what I mean? So can you hit the bell, Professor Nim? But with that being said, before I make my last call, I want to appreciate everyone in the chat. I appreciate you, Professor Nam. This is Split Decision. It's a boxing debate / talk show. So tune in every Sunday live on Akhi TV exclusively. So subscribe below if you're trying to get smart about a minute. If you're trying to get dumb about a second, don't. And listen to these decaf / old media, of course, is new media all day. Shout out to DBN for starting the new media wave. And you already know Professor Nam on the left in the blue corner. Akhi, on the red corner, the undefeated 24-0. We've been 24 episodes, and you know what I mean? I'm untouched. God only made a couple things perfect, and that's my boxing record and my debating record on Split Decision and Floyd Mayweather boxing record. What do you say to that, Professor Nair?
I want to say that give a shout out to everybody that's tuning in. We definitely appreciate the love, appreciate the call-ins, appreciate the super chats. We usually stray away from politics, but I want to say Super Tuesday is coming up and everything, so I'm not going to get in it. I'm not going to tell y'all who I'm voting for and everything, but you know what I'm saying? So make sure that
he
y'all
letting it be known. Stop playing with Professor Nim, the man with all the knowledge, a real life professor in real life. So put some respect on his name. That's all I'm saying.
All right, last caller.
Last caller. Hello, how you doing, Akhi? This is 502. My man, Raw Boxing TV. Is this correct? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear
me? You seem like you're kind of low.
Hello? I need to increase the volume. I think he need to listen for the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Might have just... Hello. You on Split Decision. What's good?
Yeah, let me call him right back. That's the last caller for the day, you know. So, 502, is this Raw Boxer TV? Can you hear him? Hello?
Yeah, it sounds... Yeah, I can hear him now. I got him. Hello? Hello?
Talking to you?
He was talking. I just heard somebody come in. Hello? Say it again. Yeah, absolutely. Feel the burn. I see
can't hear
that.
you guys.
So
Oh, no, he's saying that he can't hear us. So you can't hear us?
we're not even talking.
Are you sure the Bluetooth is?
Yeah, it's right.
Okay. Well, yeah, it has to be because I can hear him.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
man,
yeah.
we done went off live.
Oh, that's why.
Oh, the camera done died on us. Man,
Oh, we out. All right.
it's all right. You could take us out. They could still hear us.
Yeah, we want to go ahead
Yeah.
the camera. Yeah, so we've got about a 2-hour time limit. That's why sometimes we have to kind of get through this content. But appreciate the love. 24 episodes. Been here every week. We had our first interview. Shout out again to David Morrell Jr., up and coming 168-pounder PBC. Y'all know what it is. Every Sunday, split decision. Akhi,
You already know.
Professor Nims,
It's
3P. Let's get it.
Stop playing. And then shout out to DBN. Shout out to Raw Boxer TV. Follow their channels. Subscribe to them. The last caller, Ranger, I'm going to call you back. Next show, just call in. You already know I got you. And peace and we outie. Appreciate it to Professor Nim and all the people